Okay, so this is the last major example for the section 4.2 about the addition rules for probability and answering OR kinds of questions. In this example, we have a sample of books checked out from a library. Some of them are fiction and some are nonfiction. Some of the books are hardback, some are paperback, and some are ebooks that you could check out electronically. So this little chart here shows how many of each kind of book there were. So for example, there were 52 hardback fiction books checked out and 50 nonfiction ebooks. And before we do anything else, it's going to be convenient to get some totals. So if we add together the fiction and nonfiction hardback books, that's a total of 98 hardbacks, 96 paperbacks, and 90 ebooks that were checked out. Also, adding across the total number of fiction books that were checked out was 167, and then altogether there were 117 nonfiction books that were checked out, for a grand total of 284 books in all. So if we talk about selecting one of those books at random, we're picking from among 284 of them. The sample space, the possible outcomes, the possible books that could be selected, has those 284 books in it. So first question, what is the probability that a book selected at random will be fiction? So we take how many ways that could happen over or divided by the total number of possibilities. How many fiction? 167. How many in all? 284. So the probability that we would check out a book that was fiction would be 167 over 284. And if you divide, that comes out to be about 0.588. Next question, what's the probability that a book selected at random will be paperback? There are 96 of those, 96 ways we could get a book that's paperback out of 284 in all. So the probability there is 96 over 284, which in decimal form would be 0.388. 96 divided by 284 is 0.388. What's the probability that a book selected at random will be paperback or ebook? So these are the ones we're talking about here. There's 96 paperbacks, there's 90 ebooks, and there's no overlap there. Those are mutually exclusive. The same book can't be, if you're talking about that specific book, it's either a paperback or it's an ebook, but it's not both at the same time. So we can just add the probabilities together. 96 out of 284 plus 90 out of 284 equals 186 out of 284, which is 0.655. What's the probability that a book selected at random will be paperback and fiction? How many books are there that fit that description? What are the books that are both paperback and fiction? That would just be these 75 right here. We're not counting these 21 because even though they're paperback, they're not fiction. And we're not counting the fiction books that aren't paperback. We're only counting the books that are both paperback and fiction, and there are 75 of those. So the probability is 75 over 284. Which is 0.264. Now, what's the probability that a book selected at random will be paperback or fiction? These are not mutually exclusive. Some books are paperback, some books are fiction, some books are both. So how do we find the probability that the book we selected fits the description of being either paperback or fiction? Or possibly both. Well, one way would be to just go through and count all the different books that fit that description. These 52 books here count because they are fiction. The 75 books here definitely count. The 40 fiction ebooks count because they're fiction. And the 21 paperback nonfiction books count because they are paperback. You just have to be paperback or fiction to get counted. So altogether, that's 52 plus 75 plus 40 plus 21, which is 188 books out of 284 in all. So the probability is 188 over 284, which is 0.662. The other way we could figure this out would be by using that addition rule 2. The probability of being paperback or fiction would be the probability of being paperback plus the probability of being fiction minus the probability of being paperback and fiction. So probability of being paperback, 96 over 284, plus probability of being fiction, 167 over 284, minus probability of being paperback and fiction, 75 over 284. And if you calculate that out, it does come out to be 188 over 284, which is 0.662.